Welcome back to This Mind and Me podcast, your safe filled space to bridge the gap between who you are now and who God created you to be. Here we have great conversations, real conversations, and we share practical strategies to help you think deeper, fully heal, reset your mind, recharge your spirit, and reclaim the abundant life God intended for you to live. I am Denise. I am your faith-based mindset coach here to support you along your journey of bridging the gap to who you are now and who God has called you to be. In today's episode, I would like to have an authentic conversation as it relates to closing the door to your past. And this conversation came because over the weekend, I was minding my own business. And as I sat on the bed and I began to create my personal curriculum for December, I heard a boop from my phone. And I grabbed my phone and I began to proceed to see a text message. And the text message was perhaps from someone that I knew from my past who I had not spoken to in probably over a year. And right in that moment, parts of me wanted to find out what was the reason for the call. But the new version of who I have become override that desire to answer. And so I never responded to the text, but it prompted me to come on tonight and to have an authentic conversation about the battle between who you are now and who you are called to be, and how sometimes in the midst of all of the newness that you're now becoming, there's a past version within yourself that you're constantly battling with. And she sometimes wants to answer calls from a version of yourself that no longer exists. And I'm going to keep it real. I personally know the feeling and the emotional state of a woman trying to bridge the gap between who she is now and who God has called her to be. Because if we be honest, you desire that new version of yourself. But that old version of yourself, she keeps desiring to answer the phone to that toxic ex, to those friends that you have outgrown who no longer serves that version of yourself. Now, the version of the person that you are becoming. But today, sis, we're drawing a line. Going to draw the line in the sand because that was the last call. And here's why. See, every time I'll speak for myself, I'll speak from my experience, and what I've come to learn is that every time that I answer a call from my past version of myself that no longer exists, here's what happens. I have to rearrange my thoughts, my emotions, and my feelings, because once you're communicating with someone from your past, whether you like it or not, whether you notice it or not, those conversations reignite past emotions, even things that they did good, things that they did bad. You begin to go back in your mind and you begin to realize those things. You begin to live those moments all over again. Those emotions that were good. You go to thinking about the day when you first met that person, and you go to thinking about the moment you guys decided to let things go, and you go to thinking about what if, or what if he's different now, or what if things are different now, and you end up finding yourself back in a loop of feedback of the past. And in this season, we're not looking back. We're moving forward. Another reason that I choose not to answer calls from old versions of myself any longer, because in the midst of answering those calls, you lose momentum. You have a mindset shift that already said, this is what I'm about to do, and these are my goals, and I'm done with people and energies from my past that no longer serves me. You start creating. You already have your morning routine, and you get up and you meditate and you read your word and you position yourself for your day, and you listen to certain music and you watch certain things, and suddenly you get this call and you totally forget the plan that was in position, because not because you want to. No, it's not because you want to. It's because you're human. And for a slight moment, there is a setback, because now your mind goes to wondering for days about the call, especially if it was a good one. Because, sometimes I know from picking up the phone in the past, those first callbacks, and you answer, the conversations are good. You're laughing, you're reminiscing on things that you probably shouldn't be reminiscing on. And you get caught up, your emotions get caught up in the feeling of, I wonder if I wish it could have been, and maybe things would have been better if I could have maybe listened, or if he could have. And so it slows down your momentum. Another thing that I noticed from answering the call from your past, when you're no longer that version of yourself, is that you lose clarity. Losing clarity meaning that once you close the doors to your past, there's a difference between, what I've come to realize is there is a difference between closing the door to your past and closing the door to your past forever. I'm going to say that again. There is a difference from closing the door to your past and actually closing the door to your past forever. And see, there was a season in my life where I simply closed the door to my past. But the closing of the door to my past still had a little bit of space in between. That space that allowed that call to come in and me to answer that call. Even though I had made up in my mind that this person does not fit the version of who I am and where I'm going, I still had some type of space in between the closing of the door. But now I'm in a season of my life. I know who I am, and I know who God has called me to be, and I've seen the version of myself in which I desire, and I have closed the door forever. There is no space. There is nothing that you can say. There is nothing that I need to know. All I know now is that I am crossing that bridge to becoming the best version of myself, and what used to be no longer fits my mindset, my characteristics, my spiritual desires, my divine divinity, my hope. And so I have shut the door forever. So you, sis, you might be listening tonight and you might be in between the door being shut and trying to get that door to be shut forever. And that process, it takes a while. It's going to take some going and forth, back and forth till you realize to yourself, I no longer fit here. This no longer serves me. And you have to make up in your mind that I choose me. And I'm going to choose me over and over and over and over again. Another thing that I realized from answering the call to a past version of yourself is that once you're off the call, you have to readjust. You have to reset your emotions and start all over again, reinforcing your boundaries. Because see, for so long, you've 3 to 6 months, say 8 months, you've been on a program that worked for you of becoming. So you're not talking to that individual, or you're not hanging out with those friends, and you created a daily plan that worked for you, that keeps you in the positive of flowing forward. And somehow that phone call, that text message temporarily interrupts that steady forward movement. And so you have to pause and reset and reflect and say to yourself, hey, I may have answered the call, but I know within myself there is absolutely nothing that this person or these friends could actually offer me now. But just because you answered, that doesn't mean that you're a bad person, because sometimes I know the feeling. You get mad at yourself. You're like, oh my gosh, why did I answer? I was doing so good. I was moving forward. I had forgot about him. I wasn't thinking about him. And now all of a sudden, now he's calling my phone. And that's fine. You're going to go through those emotions because that's all part of becoming. That's all part of bridging the gap. That's all part of letting go of what no longer serves you. You have to finally realize that what they offer no longer matches the frequency and the energy and the person that you're becoming. And that's fine. But the moment you realize that I'm ready for something different. I want the air to smell different to me. I want to look in the mirror and barely recognize myself. I want to move different. I want to move with intention. I want to take moments throughout my day to pause and actually breathe and take in that I am becoming. And no matter what it looks like, I am progressing forward. And sis, I just wanted to come on and have an authentic conversation tonight because I remember the days when it wouldn't have went the way that it went. But by the grace of God, because I've done the necessary work, and I'm not looking for anyone to make me feel good, and I'm not looking for anyone to validate me, there was no need for me to answer that call. And I pray that through my authenticity and through this conversation tonight, that when you receive that call, that you'll remember this podcast and you'll say to yourself, am I ready to lose momentum? Am I ready to have a loss of clarity? Have I come so far and now I'm ready to start all over, readjust my emotions and reinforce my boundaries? Is that what I actually want to do? Do I want to get caught back up in those emotions and constant thoughts of my past? No, that's not what you want, sis. You want to keep moving forward. You want to keep becoming, because you know that what's behind is behind. And what God has for you ahead, that you, my friend, you are well deserving. You are well worth it. And you are built for what's ahead of you. I want to thank you for tuning in to this Mind in Me podcast. If today's episode spoke to your heart, don't keep it all to yourself. I want you to share it with a friend. Share it with someone who you believe needs to make it their last call. And leave a comment. I would love to hear how this episode inspired you. What were some of your takes from it? I love hearing how God is moving in your life. And until next time, stay grounded in truth and keep walking no matter what, because feeling good is not a reward. It is your birthright in Christ. Bye.